Being a highly sensitive person comes with many gifts and some big challenges. Today, I want to talk about a huge challenge and some of the gifts that are intimately connected to that. And I speak from the perspective of a man who would call himself a highly sensitive person. And to me, what that means is being extremely receptive and open to the people, feelings, the environment around me, the energy and emotions of others. And there are some really bright sides to that. The bright side for me would be that I can be very present to people. I can really notice what's going on. I can pick up on very subtle cues and just really be tuned in to the people, the environment, the experience that I'm going through. And that can make me a very patient person. It can make me a great listener. There's some really wonderful things. And as a writer, it's for me probably one of the hugest gifts I have that comes through in my writing, because the more present I am to my experience, to the people around me, the more I'm able to listen, to be present, to be patient. It makes me a better communicator, because I think Tupac famously said, and probably a lot of other people have said over the years, that we've got two ears and one mouth, and we're by design meant to listen more than speak. And the more we listen, the better we get at communicating, because the more we understand what's going on in others and what connects to others. And yeah, as a writer, I think it makes me better at communicating with clarity and precision and emotional depth and emotional vibrancy or something like that. Anyhow, so the positives are amazing. Being, my sensitivity, my receptivity, my empathy, they are me. They make me who I am and what I am. And throughout my life, they have caused me to shut down and withdraw from people and from life. And I think if the gift for me of being sensitive could be defined as being receptive, the curse or the challenge, probably is a better way of articulating it, would be being overreactive, being highly reactive to the feelings, to the emotions, to the beliefs of people around me. As a sensitive person, I can walk, there have been times where I'll walk into a room and there's someone with a really harsh, intense energy, and immediately I start feeling that and reacting. I close off. I start making it mean something about me. I feel it, and then I react. I close off, and then I start going into a story. Oh my God, this person doesn't like me. Oh my God, this just means something negative about me. So I take it on. I don't have an appropriate sense of distance between their emotional reality and mine. And I've walked through seasons of life just constantly doing that, walking around, collapsing around other people's energy and letting myself kind of like shrink down into this meek version of myself that's just constantly reacting and not really maintaining a sense of myself around the strong chaotic energies of this river of humanity. And there's a lot of intense energies. I have intense energies. We all do. We're humans. And I have other friends who are highly sensitive, and they walk through the world and it's like a minefield, because they're so receptive and so empathic. But it's like everywhere they go, there's intense energies, and it's like a trigger being pulled here and there and here and there, because they're constantly confronted with energies that just shake their sense of self. So they're reacting constantly, and it's this painful, arduous thing, because they're constantly taking on the feelings and the energy and the emotions of all the people around them, and they're making it mean something about them. Oh, there's this person who's kind of angry. That means something about me. There's this person who is frustrated, that means something about me, and taking it on it can just take a lot of energy, and it can make it so that we're not really present anymore. That receptivity, when it turns into a reaction, when it turns into a strong emotional reaction, what was this highly sensitive presence, it's like there's a sensitivity that's really receptive to the environment, and it's very present and it's very perceptive. And then there's a sensitivity that's constantly reacting. And it's not present because it's so spinning out into its own anxieties, and it's constantly taking on other people's realities and kind of mixing it with its own reality. And so it becomes self-absorbed instead of being that really clean, clear, receptive presence. And I think that's, for me, the huge challenge as a highly sensitive person is, okay, how do I maintain this receptivity, which I can't really get away from, nor would I want to, but I can't get away from it because it is who I am. I just feel things. That's just who I am. And I've learned to love that and to embrace that. But how do I walk through the world and be that without constantly being overtaken and overwhelmed and subsumed by other people's, just by the environment and other people's feelings and other people's perceptions and judgments and beliefs? How do I have boundaries with this receptivity? It's an enormous challenge. And it's one that I've been facing for several years now, because I spent years really excavating my feelings and my sensitivity and my vulnerability, so much so that I became like highly reactive to the people and the environment around me. And I just kept on pulling back more and more from people in the world until I got to the point where it was very clear that, like, yo, this is not the way, man. You need to learn how to be that sensitive, empathic person and tolerate other people's energy, be able to maintain your sense of composure, your sense of self, and walk out into that world with all of the different contradictory energies and understand that that's another person's emotional reality. It's not my emotional reality. And to feel a part of me that when I'm around someone who's frustrated or angsty or judging me or whatever it may be, that I can feel a part of me start to react and take that on, but still maintain some awareness of, like, hey, this is just somebody else's reality. Remember, you're a separate person. And it's good to pay attention. It's good to be listening. It's good to be receptive. But remember that somebody else's reality isn't yours. And you have to maintain a certain separation in order to remain present to everything that's going on here. And over the past several years, I've really tried to step out of my shell more and more and expose myself to more of life, more different situations, more people, and stretch myself out of my comfort zone. And a part of that is also having practices that regularly ground me back into myself. Those practices include going for long walks in nature very regularly. Those practices include things like making this podcast or this video, however you're consuming it, and writing and creating and kind of exercising my voice and my creative muscles. That's a huge part of me feeling who I am. There's certain things that I have to do in life that kind of like reconnect me to who I am. And having those things a regular part of my experience makes it more possible for me to walk into the world without getting totally scrambled by everything going on around me, because I have these pillars that are set up in my life that are kind of these anchors into my path, myself, as a distinct, autonomous being. I have also learned as a sensitive person that it is extremely important for me to communicate openly and clearly what I'm feeling with others, within reason. It's important for me to have people in my life, because I got so much going on inside, that I can just talk it all out with. Sometimes I'll just go into the forest and talk it all out with the forest. I'll just like talk to myself openly when I'm alone. But it's important to have friends, confidants that I can just share my experience with. And if I am reacting to somebody, if I feel like somebody's upset with me, then it's important for me to know that I can just talk, I can just communicate in a mature, graceful way about it. I can just ask somebody, hey, is everything okay? I feel like something happened the other day and I just want to follow up with you. Is everything okay? Is there anything you need from me? Communication for me as a sensitive person, learning how to communicate clearly, transparently, responsibly, and with emotional responsibility. That's a vital piece for me, maintaining my sense of self and my composure and turning that sensitivity from a weakness into a strength. Because I think it's very easy for people who are highly sensitive to spiral in their mind and to notice something that might not even be real and make a meaning out of it and then kind of spin anxiously in the mind. And open, transparent communication can be a great remedy for that type of anxious spinning. Because somebody who isn't in our anxious spiral will be able to very quickly say, hey, man, Miles, I just got to pause you, man. I think you're imagining things here. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's how people see you, or I think you need to talk to that person straight up, or I think you shouldn't talk to that person anymore, so on and so forth. Just as sensitive people, sometimes we need people to just talk the feelings out with. And I've learned that for myself. There's another thing that I've alluded to already several times throughout this, but it's to do with boundaries, and it's to do with accepting that I'm an autonomous person, that I'm different from the people around me. Accepting that has been a big part, probably, to me coming out of my shell. And strangely enough, it's like having proper boundaries has allowed me to come out of my shell more, because the more that I accept that I am different, I have rituals in my life that not all of the people around me do, like walking in nature, like spiritual practices or emotional practices or whatever it may be. The more that I accept that and honor that in my life, the more I can just be a natural person and talk openly about who I am and how I am with the people around me, even if they're very different. And that makes me a more authentic person. And again, I think sensitive people can easily become shapeshifters. They can easily be like, oh my God, well, everybody's normal, and I'm so sensitive because I'm receptive and I'm reacting to everything. Maybe I should just tone myself down and shapeshift to become like everyone around me. And I know that for me, that comes with consequences, because it's like I'm just tamping down the natural goodness of what I could be and the gift that I could bring to the people around me. So the more that I have kind of accepted my strangeness, my uniqueness, and embraced that, the more I've actually been able to relate to others, because I'm just going to start sharing openly. I'll be like, yeah, I haven't been in a relationship in this long because X, Y, and Z. And then all of a sudden, the people I thought I couldn't relate to that I'm sharing that with will open up. They'll be like, oh, really? I can totally relate. And all of a sudden, I realize that the ways I thought I was the most different from the people around me are actually the ways that I am most similar and that I can connect the most deeply to the people around me. And that leads me to the final thing I want to share today, which is that I think highly sensitive people, myself included, and many of my friends included, we have a tendency of seeing ourselves as outsiders, and sometimes in a way that is incorrect. I think that a lot of people are very sensitive, and a lot of people have tremendous depth. And the more I show up and open up to the people around me, the more I see it. And I think it takes a sensitive person who isn't constantly reacting, but is learning how to be emotionally regulated, learning how to be emotionally responsible, and bringing that sensitivity into a stronger form, maybe, in which you can kind of like bring your gift into your community. Be that perceptive, deep person who feels things and sees things and can articulate them and is a communicator. And I know that for me, by doing a bit more of that, I've just witnessed more depth in the people around me than I ever would have imagined was possible otherwise. And I think that's the opportunity in the challenge for highly sensitive people. If the challenge for me has been being overreactive and spinning into anxious thoughts or self-absorption, my sensitivity kind of turning in on itself, the opportunity by turning that around and learning how to be less reactive and learning how to have healthy boundaries and how to take care of myself, I can just be a good communicator and a kind person and be more present to the people around me, and makes my world a better place. It makes me a better person to be around. And yeah, it's amazing. The challenge is the opportunity. And that's all I have to share today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please let me know. You can like, you can comment. If you haven't already, you can subscribe. And if you're interested in checking out my book, you will find information about that in the description. And until next time, I hope that you have a beautiful day. Take care.